And there have been more Israeli raids in the occupied West Bank. Soldiers killed a 21-year-old Palestinian baker in the early hours of Sunday morning in the city of Qalqilya. Witnesses say soldiers indiscriminately opened fire as they entered the town. Israeli forces also raided homes in Nablus. At least 60 Palestinians have been arrested in the past 24 hours. That includes 5 girls. And Israeli soldiers also shot and killed a Palestinian carpenter and father of 6 near Nablus. The 39-year-old was initially attacked by Israeli settlers in the town of Karawet Bani Hassan. Settlers then forced him out of his car and burned it before he was shot in the neck by an Israeli soldier. Elsewhere in the West Bank, 10 masked Israeli settlers raided a Palestinian-owned restaurant in the village of Sawiya. Security camera footage that you're seeing here captured the attack, which caused significant damage to the building. Okay, let's speak to Hoda Abdel-Hamid, who's in Hebron in the occupied West Bank. Hoda, the release of Palestinian prisoners during the week-long ceasefire put the spotlight on the number of Palestinians that are still in Israeli jails and also the treatment that they've been receiving there. I know you've been doing a lot of reporting on this. What can you tell us?
Well, absolutely. I mean, one could even argue that the number released has been offset by the number of Palestinians taken in. As you're saying, 60 overnight. Well, out of those 68 are from Hebron here, 4 women and 4 men. Now, we heard from those coming out about the ill treatment in prison, especially after October the 7th. We're here at the Prisoners' Society in Hebron. This is actually the first step for families to come and inquire about the whereabouts of the person who has been detained. Because simply when the soldiers show up, usually in the middle of the night or early morning, they don't give any information as to where they're taking the son, the daughter, the father, the brother. So it is for the families then a very complicated process to be able to figure out where they have taken to and for what. Now, I'm joined by Amjad Najjar. He is from the Prisoner Society here in Hebron, the spokesman also for the entire occupied West Bank. Amjad, كنت بتقولي
Or live, you told me that there is a large number of the detainees here come from Hebron. Almost 1/3 of the 3,500 detainees arrested since October 7. Why? To begin with, Hebron can be described as a stricken province over the past 58 days. Hebron was a stage, the epicenter of all the operations by the Israeli occupation forces across the city. More than 973 were detained over this short period of time. This is an astronomical figure within the very short span of time. The Israeli occupation forces, the Israeli occupation government consider Hebron is the second most important and sacred city to the Jewish people under their false pretext and false allegations that Hebron was the cradle of Prophet Abraham. That's why the majority of Israeli radicals and settlers are centered and residing within this Hebron. That's why the number is relatively high. Today, more than 500 detainees come from Hebron. Those who were released spoke to us about very harsh conditions. As we speak, the number of detainees from Hebron, more than 446 only in October. Before that, they exceeded 900 detainees. You are absolutely correct. All those released from the prisons were tortured, abused verbally and physically by the Israeli occupation soldiers behind the bars. All these are dossiers or files. Yes, those those are the administrative detention. The Israeli occupation forces is the only state on earth that detain our people without any trial. If you look at this detainee poses a threat to the security of the region, and he has a secret file with the intelligence. This is sufficient to keep you under administrative detention from 4 months to 2 years. You spoke to me about one person who was detained for 18 years under this administrative detention excuse. My question is, once a Palestinian is detained, the family tell us that they do not know about their whereabouts. How can you offer them help? That's true. A decision was handed down by Gallant when the emergency state was imposed. No one is allowed to collect any information about any detained before the passage of 8 days. This is a criminal act per se. 8 days is too long. If any is detained, his family comes to us, they fill in the relevant information, and we, with the little resources at hand, we start gathering information about the detention centers. However, we cannot gather any information before 8 days. We can get some information through the video conference at the court for 3 minutes only. All those released, men and women, they spoke about excessive sexual harassment. This particular issue, sexual harassment, was raised following the release of the swap deal. However, this is not something new. Since 1967, the Israeli occupation forces have been detaining our women, and they have been subjected to physical abuse and sexual harassment. However, throughout the past few days, the Israeli occupation forces have been excessively abusing women, Palestinian women. They even posed threats. They even threatened the detainees with rape, blindfolding them, physically harassing them, and all these acts were documented. Most of the women detainees were subjected to harassment of various degrees, from caressing their bodies to other forms of abuse. That at the end of the day, they are threatened with rape. This is a statement made by all those released. I interviewed them personally, and they were harassed physically by the Israeli soldiers. However, you confirm that none of them was raped. No, none of them was raped, but they were threatened of being raped. As I said, a number of the male soldiers place a detainee woman in the middle and start to circle dancing around her. Now, once there is a swap deal and detainees, women and juvenile, are released. And this was one of the conditions raised by Hamas. And I'm sorry, we have to cut it here. Thank you.
I mean, yes, a lot of detainees have been released, but more and more have been taken in. And this morning, we spoke to a mother who told me that the soldier actually bluntly told her that her daughter was being taken in case there's another deal and another prisoner swap, then she will be released then.
That's Hoda Abdel-Hamid reporting from Hebron. You've just been interviewing the head of the Palestinian Prisoners Society. Thank you very much, Hoda.